Hi, lovely to have you here. Welcome to the Electro Revolution channel. My name is Michael and I'm a car and tech enthusiast. Today, we're going to tackle a question that's super relevant for new drivers in Australia, primarily P drivers. Can P-plate drivers drive electric vehicles? Now, this may sound simple, but the answer depends entirely on where you live in Australia. So let's break it down state by state. So let's start with New South Wales. P1 and P2 drivers, they face restrictions on what they can drive. According to Transport New South Wales, you're not allowed to drive a high performance vehicle with more than 130 kilowatts per tonne. That's based on the car's tare mass, and that means it's empty weight without passengers or cargo. But here's the twist, there's some leniency. Transport New South Wales has allowed a few cars that are just slightly over the limit. What's banned? All-wheel drive Teslas, including dual motor models, and even the rear-wheel drive Model Y is just a bit too powerful. What's allowed? Single motor EVs like the Polestar 2 or certain BYD and MG models, provided they stay under the limit. One tip, before buying, check the Transport New South Wales prohibited vehicles list. It's on the web. It's searchable and regularly updated. And now let's look at Victoria. Victoria follows the same 130 kilowatt per tonne rule, but they're a bit stricter. If your car is even 1 kilowatt over, it's banned, absolutely no exceptions. That means nearly every Tesla is off limits except for the rear-wheel drive Model 3, the 2024 to 2025 model, the pre-facelift rear-wheel drive Model Y, but don't worry, there's still plenty of choice. Most single motor EVs from MG, BYD, Zeekr and even smaller Audi e-trons are good to go for P drivers. And yes, you can search the VicRoads database to double check just before you buy. And now let's move on to Queensland. Queensland's rule is almost identical to New South Wales and Victoria. That same 130 kilowatt per tonne limit applies to all vehicles built after 2010. That covers nearly every EV on sale today, except for some of the early low-powered models. So what's allowed in Queensland? First generation Nissan Leaf and the Mitsubishi IMIEV vehicle. What's banned? The Tesla Roadster, of course, and most dual motor cars. Now, if your EV sits close to the power limit, it might be marked as referred. And what that means is you can apply for an individual exemption, and that's reviewed on a case-by-case basis. You can check what's approved on the Transport Queensland portal. So let's now look at South Australia. Are electric cars legal for P-plate drivers in South Australia? Yes, some electric cars are legal for P-plate drivers in South Australia. For vehicles built after January 1, 2010, the same 130 kilowatt per tonne maths equation of New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland applies, that being your car can't exceed 130 kilowatts per tonne power to weight ratio. Again, that essentially leaves you with the option of only some single motor electric vehicles. You can disregard anything that has a performance badge on it, or big brands like BYD, MG and Tesla, which equip twin motors to extend the range but exceed the power limit. South Australia has a register where you can check the plate number, and it'll tell you if it's an approved vehicle in the state. Otherwise, use the Queensland or Victoria portals to determine if the car is legal. Now the ACT. Are electric cars legal for P-platers in the ACT? Nice and short, yes. all electric cars are legal for P-plate drivers in the ACT as there are no power restrictions for provisional drivers. And now moving to the Northern Territory. Are electric cars legal for P-plate drivers in the Northern Territory? Yes, all electric cars are legal for P-plate drivers in the Northern Territory as there are no power restrictions for provisional drivers. Now moving on to Western Australia. Are electric cars legal for P-plate drivers in Western Australia? Simple answer, yes. All electric cars are legal for P-plate drivers in Western Australia as there are no power restrictions for provisional drivers. And now Tasmania. Are electric cars legal for P-plate drivers in Tasmania? Yes, all electric cars are legal for P-plate drivers in Tasmania as there are no power restrictions for provisional drivers. Now I will say, I do have a P driver within my family, my son. Now, when he first got his Ps, that was one of the considerations I had to make, was with whatever car I was going to buy next, would he be capable to drive it? Now, as it turns out, the BYD Seal Premium is actually on the banned list in New South Wales. And, you know, he does have his own car. So it's not that much of a priority that I needed him to drive a BYD Seal. We've also got an Atto 3 and we've also got an ICE vehicle which he drives regularly. So it is a consideration to make, especially as a parent, but also if you have a friend or you have friends that are just getting their Ps and looking at purchasing EV vehicles, it is a consideration to make. You first need to check if that person or the P driver is capable to drive that EV, because if they're not, it's actually a waste of money to buy that EV. It's always something to check first. So, what's the verdict? Some electric cars are legal for P-plate drivers in most Australian states, but you'll need to stick with single motor, lower output EVs to stay on the right side of the rules. So, before you buy, always check your state's official vehicle database, because a few kilowatts can make the difference between a green light and a fine, which nobody wants. So if you did find this video helpful, short and sweet and straight to the point, then please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, share this content with someone who'd be interested, or just leave a comment, even to say thanks. It really all helps. Until the next episode or until the next series, I hope to see you there. Bye for now.